Hi, I'm Paige. I'm many things. I'm a mom, I'm a designer, I'm dyslexic, but for the purpose of this talk, I'm a photographer and an artist. I try and capture what it's like to be human, to be alive, to love, to feel joy, to be present. When I photograph, I'm always searching for moments of vulnerability and authenticity, joy and connection. Empathy is my currency, my camera is my instrument, serendipity is my muse. Whether it's for rock stars, academics, or toddlers, by putting my art in the world, I create physical memories that I've imbibed with meaning. The skill and craft of my art combines with my beliefs to purposely shape people's attention and memory, to focus that attention on joy and connection. I want to promote messages of courage, compassion, joy, and kindness in a world that normally doesn't focus on these core aspects of being human. Through my photography, I try and shed a compassionate light on our shared humanity and on our need for connection. How did I come up with such a notion? Well, that's what I'm here to talk about today, because I didn't start out with this goal in mind. In fact, when I was younger, I didn't even know I had a choice to choose my own life's goal. I was shy, I was timid, I was clueless about following my heart. However, I was fortunate to have what we now call a free range childhood, as well as a mother and a grandmother that gave me unconditional love. For many of my formative years, our family migrated to and fro across the country, initially westward from Syracuse to Louisville to Los Angeles, followed by a few years sprinkled in the Midwest, then to the Bay Area. Paradoxically, in the first 4 years of my life, it was our family that was stationary, but my father traveled constantly to support his young family. For those early years, for all intents, I was raised by a single mom, a mom that loved me and my sister unconditionally and delighted in my uniqueness. I wasn't aware of the hardship of raising two young girls, mostly by herself. I was only aware that I was loved. I was also amazingly lucky to get to spend lots of time with my grandmother, Baba. Baba's love of family was evident both in her words and actions, as well as from the mosaic of family photos, large and small, that tiled the walls of her cozy home. As my childhood unfolded, my family would be uprooted again and again, and Baba would visit the new city we called home. Baba would tell me stories. Tales of Bertie and Abigail Galloway, Baba's own mother and grandmother. Stories of the Galloway homesteading adventures in South Dakota in the late 1800s. She'd tell me about Bertie and her sisters attending a one-room schoolhouse, a rivalry between Ernest and Florian for Bertie's hand in marriage. Baba also read me all the Laura Ingalls Wilder Little House on the Prairie books. She loved these books because they paralleled her own mother and grandmother's pioneer struggles. My grandmother's tales of adventure and survival helped me process and even celebrate each of my own moves. Through her stories, I felt connected to my ancestors and to the American experience of migration and change. I was a modern homesteader, carrying on the American pioneering tradition. Baba and my mother taught me almost everything I know about being kind and compassionate to others. However, self knowledge and self compassion was not something that was modeled in my family of origin. I knew how to read others, but not myself. So when it came time to choosing a college and career path, my primary thoughts were, what would everybody else want me to do? My family was already in the midst of uprooting from San Carlos to Chicago. I decided that I might as well make a big move too. I decided to go to college in Cambridge. I'd never been there before. It sounded exciting. My parents said Boston was a really nice city, so I took off by myself to MIT, sight unseen, with one large suitcase and some big 80s hair. Don't worry, it was on an airplane, not a Vespa scooter. I took several courses in photography, but made architecture and design my focus. As much as I love photography, it never crossed my mind that photography could be my career. Photography and music were an aside, an amusement that filled my soul, I thought I needed a career that would impress others and fill my bank account. I went on to use my visual and analytical skills to design some of the first web-based user interfaces for companies such as Apple and Netscape. I might have continued indefinitely on that path if it weren't for the birth of my children, Emma and Gus. They cracked my heart wide open. They gave me the gift of feeling truly vulnerable for the first time in my life. It wasn't until then that I truly had empathy and began to understand the deep love and the unspoken sacrifices of my mother, my grandmother, and their mothers before them had made. The birth of my children allowed me to step off the Silicon Valley crazy train for just long enough to realize that I didn't want to get back on. My true heart didn't reside in a cubicle. I wanted a life that let me frequently visit Baba back in Syracuse, as well as my in-laws and my parents, who were still on the move. As is the case with many proud parents, I wanted to document my kids' early days. I wanted pictures of my kids to be lovingly woven into my grandmother's tapestry. My timing was fortuitous. The digital camera revolution had just begun, and I have always had a penchant for cool digital toys and tools. For better or worse, my kids and their classmates have some of the most extensively documented childhoods of the early 2000s. So, how did this lead to me being a rock photographer? If there's been any constant in my life, it's been my love of live music. Concerts are where I've always felt the most connected to the world. Since I was a teen, not a month has gone by where I haven't been at some kind of concert. The synergy of my love of music, photography, and digital tools finally came together in my late 30s. My real aha moment happened in the summer of 2007. That's when I crossed paths with Matt Allen, aka the Ice Cream Man, at the Lollapalooza Music Festival in Chicago. What is Ice Cream Man? The Ice Cream Man organization was created with the goal to give away 500,000 free bars of ice cream, most often at music festivals. Why free ice cream? It was a small, simple, ephemeral act of kindness. Ice Cream Man wanted to show the world you can follow your dream, no matter how crazy. And that through small acts of kindness you can inspire others to be kind and to follow their own dreams. His message and his philosophy resonated with me. Thus I began photographing music festivals and concerts and giving away ice cream with the Ice Cream Man crew. No, I didn't leave my family and start crossing the country living on an ice cream truck, although it did cross my mind. But I did begin listening to my heart and transitioning my career from user interface design to photography. These days, I'm the house photographer for the iconic Fillmore Auditorium in San Francisco, as well as several other venues and music festivals in the Bay Area. I usually shoot at night and edit photos during the day, which gives me lots of time to be present with my family. Some of the most common questions I'm asked are, what's your favorite show? What's your favorite picture? Honestly, these aren't the things that stick out for me. The most memorable things are when I'm able to have a connection. Sometimes it's with an artist, sometimes it's with the audience, sometimes it's with friends. If I had to pick one thing that brings me joy in shooting, it would have to be when I hear from the parent of a performer. Several times I've been contacted by parents of musicians who wanted a print because they felt I captured the essence of their child. To me, there's no greater honor, nor better judge of an image than someone's parent. And no, I haven't yet heard from Beyonce and Solange's mom, but I'll be excited if I ever get that call. Rock stars' parents aren't the only parents that motivate me. Over the past 15 years, I've taken over 20,000 images at my children's grade school, Peninsula School, in Menlo Park. It's a progressive school that was founded in the 1920s. There are 200 preschool through 8th grade children involved in project-based learning, without grades, without shoes, and with a genuine respect between teachers and students. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. I love being able to document the unique place that is Peninsula School for the kids, the parents, and the entire community. Before that, I documented our classroom life at Preschool Family, Preschool family was my first experience of community outside my nuclear family. They also gave me what my own family had not: the gifts of self reflection, self compassion, and self care. These seeds of emotional wisdom were planted and nurtured in myself and also in my children, steadily each week over 9 years of parent night meetings and hands on work in the classroom. Those lessons stuck. I consciously choose the types of clients I want to work with. In addition to my live music photography and volunteer work with schools, I am the house photographer for the Clayman Institute for Gender Research at Stanford, documenting the work they do on behalf of gender equality. I also photograph for the nonprofit Challenge Success. Challenge Success partners with schools, families, and communities to promote a broad definition of success and to implement research-based strategies so that all kids are healthy and engaged with learning. By documenting the work of these nonprofits, I am helping to spread my beliefs in an equitable society. More broadly, by making and spreading art that features passion, joy, and connection, I'm drawing attention to their importance. This is what my heart tells me to do. I want my photography to remind you, you are not alone. I hope that when you see my pictures, you feel connected to others. I focus on music because music cuts through our cynicism and breaks down the barriers that we erect between ourselves and the rest of the world, and helps to encourage empathy and build bridges. We humans need each other. We're social creatures. We are interconnected and stronger when we work compassionately together. Reaching out for support is not a sign of weakness. It models vulnerability, compassion, and connection. I also want my photography to empower you, to be brave. I believe kind people are brave people. Brave isn't just a feeling, it's a decision to show up, a decision that compassion is more important than fear, more important than fitting in, more important than following the crowd. One of the bravest things you can do in our society is to be kind to yourself. As mothers, we see suffering in others and we give and we give and give, but rarely do we bestow that same sense of compassion upon ourselves. We are often our own harshest critics. We're often kinder to people in line at Starbucks than we are to ourselves. Finally, I hope my photography inspires you to listen to your heart, your intuition. Especially as moms, it's all too easy to try and stuff down our feelings and soldier on, to make decisions based on other people's needs and desires, on shoulds and musts. Instead, we need to find expression through our own unique and imperfect selves. Our beauty lies in our imperfection. Share and celebrate the whole you, warts and all, with your children, your friends, your colleagues. Celebrate the imperfections in us all. It's not an either or, it's a both and. When you are authentic and true to yourself, you bring your singular uniqueness to the table. You honor the generations of women who came before you. You serve as an example for your kids, your mentees, for the many women around you. We all have a choice about where we put our attention and effort. It's through our shared empathy and action that we can create solidarity and begin to change the world.